Hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me. If you're out there, feel free to say hello in the chat box so I know if you are with me this evening. I'm here to give a shout out for this book. Also, if you are there, feel free to introduce yourself and let me know if you have ever even heard of this book. Maybe some of you have read this book, The Art of Coexistence: How You and I Can Save the World, by Ilchi Lee, co-written with Steve Kim. So we thought it would be a really appropriate book to kind of just give a shout out for and maybe take a little look at, which we'll do tonight, because here at Earth Management TV, where we're talking about all things for the earth, for better managing the earth, then what better topic would there be but coexistence, right? This concept of coexisting. Ilchi Lee. So Ilchi Lee is the founder of Brain Education. He also established the Earth Citizen movement. He has been working on this sort of effort of coexistence for a really, really long time. And he often talks about, it's kind of in our hands, right? Are we going to coexist or co-destruct? Which sounds really harsh, right? I know personally when I was younger, thinking about co-destruction and seeing the state of the world and where we were looks like we are headed was really, really scary and a huge cause for worry for me. Again, if any of you are there watching or listening to this recording and you have had similar sentiments, please feel free to share about them in the chat. I mean, for many people, you might feel it even more now. And I was sort of, maybe I was even ahead of the curve of the worry back then, over 20 years ago. And people could feel that even more now, and that wouldn't be surprising at all. So it's unsettling. So we want to look at, what are different viewpoints? How is it possible that we could, help this planet? We talk about save the world, save the world is in the subtitle of this book. Saving the world also feels like a really grand project, but really what we want to talk about is just considering and looking at the possibilities that are out there and our part. I think the whole point of talking about coexistence here on Earth Management TV and sharing about Earth management is so that people start to feel and realize how important they really are, how each of us is so precious and we're part of this and we really are doing this together at this time in the world where we're so connected by social media. We really are doing this together. We're influencing each other together. We're influencing the earth. So with all the kind of harsh negative things that we could talk about, instead, what we want to really look at and what this book, The Art of Coexistence, is looking at is another point of view, a possibility where humans coexist with each other and humans coexist with the planet. So that's what I enjoyed as I was reading The Art of Coexistence. It really does take a look at so many parts of life, of our existence. And it's not just being vague and brushing over them. It's really thoroughly kind of examining and showing possibility for many different areas of being human, how we can coexist, which I think is really important, right? We have to dream that dream together. It begins with painting the picture and dreaming that dream together. And I know that I've done that before here on different lives, taking time to even meditate and imagine what I feel like in my heart a world of coexistence would look like. We want to dream that dream and we want to see it as clearly as we can so we can see what our part could be and also so that we can get hope from that. Because if it's just talk and it's just some idealistic concept and notion, it doesn't come close. It doesn't touch our hearts and it doesn't touch our lives. But when we can really dream it and imagine it, and then it starts to make our heart fill up with hope or even joy at imagining such a world, now we're getting somewhere. Now we start to feel our power and our part. So I really appreciate Ilchi Lee in this book for painting the picture. If you have not read this book before and you want to see how that could possibly look like in reality, it's a great book for that. It examines so many things from the human mind, the power of the mind, the power we have over our minds, our bodies, consciousness, the power of the human brain. So it's talking about the amazing aspect of humans, how it is in our brain. It is actually existing in our brain to co-destruct or to coexist. But then it goes further, right? From human beings to expanded to our families and our communities. It talks about the next generation and the hope that is in the next generation, children, and what education could look like in a world of coexistence. How the education system currently isn't necessarily fostering coexistence. It's not helping us develop that within ourselves and with each other, and how that would look like. He talks about education. He talks about the opposite end of the spectrum, the elderly, their role, the role that their wisdom could play in coexisting and in a world of coexistence. We're talking about a more harmonious world, right, where we're coexisting harmoniously together. How would we take care of our seniors in that world? How would we take the wisdom from them and then try to live our best life, expanding our longevity, how that could actually possibly look, what would be the role that our seniors would play in a world of coexistence. So all the different perspectives, he's talking about society's part, the government's part, what we could do to increase the welfare of the people. So many aspects. There are times where he goes into a lot of specifics. So I highly recommend it if you feel like, especially if you feel like you want to create that picture inside your mind. And then for everyone, for each one of us, I can't say it enough, the importance of our responsibility at realizing we're all part of that picture. Who's going to make that? We can't just sit around and wait for government leaders to make that. It will be us on the ground. Who will become those government leaders? Us. Who will become those teachers? Us. Who will become those caretakers? Who will become the people who put their hands in the earth and try to clean up the oceans and the pollution? It will be us, each one of us, as our consciousness wakes up and our heart becomes alive. So this kind of movement towards coexistence and earth management is really a movement to awaken the heart of individuals so that they can really know their preciousness, their importance. So I thought I would read to you my favorite part because truly that's my favorite message always. How important we are and how it doesn't have to be far away and out there and in the future. It starts now. And there's a benefit for all of us. We change ourselves, we change our lives, we change the world, and for the betterment of all. So I'm going to read you my kind of favorite part that sort of summarizes that. And I thought that this would be a good time for us to kind of take a look at ourselves as I read this. So as I read this, you can kind of take it as a checkpoint for yourself, evaluating moment. I know it was for me as I was reading, and it will be for me as I read it out loud to you. This is from the 12th chapter, which is called Living Coexistence, which is, what we really want. We don't want to just read a bunch of good ideas, but how can I live this? What can I do? So the chapter opens up by asking that, right? What does it look like to incorporate the practice of coexistence into everyday life? What changes do I need to make to live as an Earth citizen? Questions like these might make you feel that you have to do something big, or that what you need to do might seem vague. But living a life helpful to yourself, others, and the planet alike is easier and more straightforward than you think. And again, I'm going to read a little bit more about what he has to say about this, but that part is what really lights my heart up. And I feel that that's the purpose of all the videos and our podcast and the messages that we are trying to share here, which is that it's easier than we think. So we should all pay attention and get on board, because it's not big and far away, but it's really close by. So let me read you a little more specifics about that. It simply says, it's under a little section in this chapter called Keeping the Earth in Mind as We Choose Coexistence. We are living in an era when we can directly affect the Earth's future with our individual choices. Every one of our actions makes a big difference. Let's remember the Earth in every choice and every action, from simple things like grocery purchases and the mode of transportation we take, to social media and even elections. Let's determine what is helpful to the Earth, and even if it turns out to be something that's a little inconvenient personally, let's make the choices that are good for the planet. Let's remember the simple and obvious truth that what's good for others and good for the Earth is ultimately the best thing for ourselves. There are many ways to be proactive in your daily life. Examples include protecting our health through natural methods, not using disposable products, conserving water and energy, using objects with care so you can reuse them, reducing consumption of meat and increasing consumption of vegetables produced locally, reducing screen time, and increasing face-to-face interaction, and finding and sharing good news to give hope and strength to one another. These aren't things you have to learn anew to put into practice. Just exercise a little more conscience with what you're already doing. And these things don't require self-sacrifice, but they benefit you directly. At the same time, they help others, and they also help the Earth. Let's choose coexistence in every relationship. If you experience conflict or discord in your life, rather than accepting that as inevitable, take a breath and respond with openness and curiosity. Ask what you could do that would be helpful for everyone. Instead of trying to shrewdly find a way to win others over to your viewpoint, seek the wisdom to find the way of coexistence. The light that will show you the path of coexistence is already inside you. I'm going to read that again because I made a little error there, and it's an important one. The light that will show you the path of coexistence is already inside of you. Ask your heart and follow the guidance of your conscience and your empathy. Every time you do that, your mind will open and become brighter. And this brightness in our minds will contribute to the brightness of our world. It's not an understatement that we are co-creating this world together, whether it's a world of co-destruction or coexistence. We are definitely all in it together. And I'd love to hear your comments about how that little piece sounded for you. Did it resonate? Did you check yourself? Did you take it as a self-check opportunity? I know I did. And even as I read it out loud again, I can see places where, oh, I can keep improving there. There's something I was missing there. As much as I'm trying to live a life of coexistence, there are many times when I fall into a lack of awareness, or I just didn't realize how I could improve and upgrade. So, this chapter, I love this chapter because it gave many examples and gave us the opportunity to sort of self check. At the same time, it's really emphasizing choice. Another word that I love. Choose. Choose to coexist. Choose to be more aware of the earth in your life. Choose to live a more coexistent or earth conscious lifestyle. Choose it. It begins with choice. So let's keep paying attention to the choices that we are making. I know it sounds extreme, but it is a good question to ask ourselves. Am I contributing? Am I choosing for co-destruction or coexistence? And as the chapter emphasizes, this comes down to our very small day-to-day choices. Choices we're making in conversations and communications with people who we love and people who we don't even know very well, strangers. Choices that we're making for what we're going to buy, where we put our money is a big vote. It's a big choice. What am I going to invest in? Each time I choose, and then more and more people are choosing to live more conscious, healthy lifestyle, naturally things will begin to change because we humans have so much power. We are the ones making up this world and its direction. It is the way that it is right now because somehow, somewhere, we chose to participate in that. We didn't necessarily do it with negative intentions. Most of us were just living life, going along, not realizing how important we are. So, the art of coexistence, how you and I can save the world, is really emphasizing the importance of the individual, the preciousness of each and every one of our brains, each and every one of our talents, each and every one of our roles that we have to play, each and every one of our words that we speak and messages that we give. This is how we will co-create destruction or co-create a harmonious coexistence. So, this is a very short sharing about this book. I really appreciated how thoroughly it examined many different aspects of life. I mean, even to AI, right? AI's role in coexistence. It kind of looks at all the different things that we see in the world right now, some of which might frighten us or worry us, but then shifting the perspective to the role this could play to create coexistence. It is possible. The possibility is out there. And we are dreaming it. And let's make it not just a dream, but let's bring it into the reality through the choices and actions we're making each and every day. So I hope that you will have a chance to read The Art of Coexistence and have a chance to do some honest and sincere self-reflection about your current coexistent lifestyle or earth conscious lifestyle, sometimes we call it. We need to keep checking. We need to keep waking ourselves up. It's not enough to say, oh yeah, I watched the video. Oh, I read the book once. Oh yeah, I, put some money and donated for that cause once. It's not enough to do it just one time. This is constantly waking ourselves up in daily life. How could I improve it? How could I upgrade it? Where are places where I'm working on it? Where are places where I could work more? Where are places where I'm missing it entirely? And let's do this with joy. Because as it says, what's good for the earth is good for me, is good for you. What's good for you is good for me, is good for the earth. What's good for me is good for the earth and good for you. We are truly interconnected in this way. When we make the best choices, we're making a best choice for all of us. So thank you for watching, and I hope you feel inspired to perhaps read the book or at least be part of this coexistent effort. You are so important. And I'm very grateful to those of you who are taking time to really check yourselves and develop your earth conscious lifestyle even more. I will be continuing to do that myself, and I hope to see you again next time. Thank you. Have a great evening.